Hello, welcome to the Quakes Motel. My name's Conan. I am the concierge. Today, we are going to look at a compressor. It's absolutely free. It's already in the MPC and it is fire. Let's jump in. Okay, so as I said, it's absolutely free, and I probably am going to keep saying it because I want to get across to you that you do not need to keep buying plugins. They're already in your MPC, and this plugin is a really, really old one in the MPC, and it is the Compressor Vintage, or Vintage Compressor. Now, as far as I can ascertain, or to my ears, it sounds like a Fairchild 670, and that's what I think it's based on. Very, very expensive tube compressor, beautiful compressor. I've had the honor of using a real one, but they are an absolute pain in the arse to maintain. So I do tend to use the plugin, and I use the plugin a lot. Now, this is how I personally get that sound on my drums. When I say that sound, I mean Dilla, Pete Rock, Lord Finesse, Diamond the Fudge Monk, Q-Tip, Alchemist, that punchy, thwacky, big sound that you get on your drums. This is how I get it in the MPC, or if I'm working in my DAW, I use a Fairchild in there. But you have to dial it in. And, you know, this is one of the older compressors. There's no visual reference whatsoever, so you don't know how much gain reduction you're doing. You just really have to rely on your ears. And I actually personally like that. And it also looks pretty crap. And this is the thing. This is why I think a lot of the old plugins in the MPC just get overlooked now, because they haven't got all the bells and whistles. They don't look amazing. They just look pretty crap. But if you dial this compressor in properly, you can really, really get your drum sounding fat as F. Let's say it, fat as fuck. So I've got a breakbeat, and I've got some drums that I made, a beat that I made up with some drums, one-shots. So we'll start with the breakbeat. The reason why I've chosen this is it's quite mediocre. It's kind of just laid back. Nothing, you know, amazing. But with this compressor, what I'm going to show you is short release, long attack. Because what I want to do is let the transients through, but I want to clamp down quite quickly. And that's where you get that punchy, thwacky sound. Leave dry wet as it is. Input can stay as it is for the moment as well. Now, don't copy this exactly, because you're going to need to dial it in depending on what sounds you're running through it. But you basically want a slower attack, a longer attack, and a quick release. Ratio, let's take that up to about 12 o'clock to start with. Knee will leave where it is, and output I'm going to dial in as I try and level match. Try and level match when you're using compressors and EQs, because otherwise you're fooled into thinking it sounds better because it's louder. Just try and level match, because then you're going to get a better idea of what the actual compressor is doing to your signal. So I'm going to start dialing in the threshold, and you'll hear as it bites, it just starts sounding punchier and bigger. And it will start bringing up the room noise from the original recording, and it will start adding sustain to the kick and to the snare. And it's just that sound. You'll recognize it. You see, it's bringing everything up. It's reducing the dynamic range. So it does make it noisier, but you know, that's the kind of sound that I'm trying to go for here. It sounds over-compressed, but that's the sound that I'm trying to go for here. It's not supposed to be subtle compression. You're supposed to be getting that big, big sound. And I'll show you on the one-shot drum beat that I made in a second. But what I'm trying to do here is reduce the dynamic range and make everything sound kind of bigger and a bit pumpier. And you almost want that pumpy sound out of the compressor. And the Fairchild is notorious for getting a pumpy sound if you want that pumpy sound. Some people want to avoid it, but in this case, I actually want that sound. So thwacky, punchy. See how the hi-hat really starts grooving because you're bringing it up to the kind of same level as the hat and the kick. Sorry, the kick and the snare. Without the compressor, it's just kind of in the background. So let's go out of here and we'll go into the next one with the drum beat. It's muted on there, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. There we go. And this is just a kind of standard run-of-the-mill boom bap style drum beat. But it sounds a little bit kind of robotic, even though it's got quite a bit of swing on it. And it just sounds a little bit computery and digitally, I guess. I mean, I don't dislike that. And if you had a sample over the top of it, it probably wouldn't sound so bad. But it sounds to me like a selection of different sounds that you've taken from different sample packs and you put them together and you made a beat. And I don't really like that. What I like to do with compressors and EQs, reverb effects and things like that is to bring my drums into the same room and to make them sound as though it is actually a live drummer. And that's where you can use EQ and compression and reverb. You can use them to glue them together to make them sound like they were recorded in the same place. Because what we do quite often do is take sounds from different sample packs or different sources. I might take a snare from a James Brown record and a kick from a Shaka Khan record or whatever, you know, and you put them together. They're different drum kits, they're different microphones, different recording sessions, different years, and they don't sound glued together. They sound like they're from different places, but you can get them to sound like they're from the same place by using compression and EQ. So in this case, with the Compressor Vintage, obviously you can get the same effect. So let's just go back to initial here. So I'm going to do the same again, release really short, longer attack to let the transients through, and I'll dial the ratio right up to 12 o'clock again. Now what will happen here is you'll really hear the sustain of the snare drum come up, because if you listen, there is sustain on the snare drum, yep. But what I'm doing by reducing the dynamic range and compressing it is I'll be bringing up the room noise and bringing up the sustain on the snare. And that's how you get that real kind of Pete Rock sound. So do you hear what I mean? Like with it doesn't sound too bad on its own, but with the compressor, again, like I said, for some people they're not going to like this sound because it sounds over compressed. But that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to reduce the dynamic range, squeeze everything together, make it sound like it's in the same room, because these drum sounds are all from different sources. But I'm pushing it together and clamping it, making it sound punchy and getting that kind of room sound brought up so it sounds dirtier. And because you brought up the room sound as well, you're going to be able to add things like lo-fi, tape simulation, etc., and really, really dirty it up because you brought up all that dirty noise from the original recording. So, you know, you can kind of copy my settings, but then gradually dial it in. Like I said, remember, short release, longer attack to let the transients through, and then the threshold to bring the compressor in. With the knee and things like that, that's changing it from hard knee to soft knee. That's something that you can use to kind of really kind of dial it in and get it sounding a little bit more glued. So I did make a subtle change there because it was just sounding a little bit too pumpy. So by changing the knee a little bit, I could just get it sounding a little bit smoother. Really bringing the grit up in the hats. I love it. So there you have it. As I said, it's absolutely free. It's already included in your MPC and it makes your beats sound fat. It looks crap, but it sounds amazing. This is The Craig's Motel. My name's Conan. Till next time.